But if you look at, you hearing things from family and friends,
Yeah.
the accolades thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in an emotionally charged moment, people are going to say, they're going to speak a kind of truth, and it's going to have a flourish.
Yeah.
You're the greatest person I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I know from, you're being analytical about it. You're running the numbers in your head. I'm probably not the greatest. I could be in the upper whatever percentile, but I mean, come on. But you also know that there's an important kernel of truth in what they're saying.
Yeah.
And why do you think so many people are saying that?
I guess they must believe it. That's the only conclusion I can have to say is that. Thank you. That's.
But what is it about how you live that?
Yeah. Well, respect. Respect's probably about as high as it gets when you're with people. Whether it be respect for ideas, thoughts. Respect for dissenting opinions. Respect that you don't actually know at all. When you think you might be right and you find out you're wrong, that you can accept that. But you don't hold that against others for their opinions. It can be difficult, I think that's probably probably the biggest thing out of all of it is, try not to be judgmental. It's hard to do sometimes, but I think that's probably one of my stronger strengths about letting it be the way it is and accepting that for what it is. Obviously, when we have kids and are growing up, we have to establish a bit of framework around that says what's acceptable and not. But as maturity comes through, then to encourage it and accept it in some way, Fortunately, we haven't had to deal with the things that could be really difficult to deal with. If you think about Wes and what all that's been, it just takes your breath away, and seems so unnecessary. But it's one of those you couldn't do anything about, as far as I can tell. I could wash my hands of it and say, yeah, it wasn't, but I still. No, probably wasn't anything I could have done about that. And I'm not really in the game of trying to solve everybody's problem, but any of those things, I don't think that requires some level of omniscience that I don't profess to have. It's you help when you can. My deficiency would be not having done enough when I could have, although I'm not exactly specific when those were. But I know that there's more that I could have done at times that would have been helpful to others that I probably didn't do. I guess that probably everybody does that, Just now you get to the point where you become more self-aware of that feeling, that aspect of it, I use Mike and Carol as an example. They give a lot to the church, a lot. Their 10% is going in for sure. They do that, and they do a lot of good with it. And I don't do that at all. I'm like, yeah, those are most of those things they're doing are really beneficial to the people involved. They're not as religious about that as they're using the mechanisms to do good things for people. I could have done more than that. I could have. And so when I think about those, I'm thinking, yeah, in that respect, I've been pretty tight, you know. I've kept it in the family business, you know, and here it is. And I've always been concerned about making sure that everything was done, you know, trying to do that. Everybody had what they needed. But when I think about others, sometimes I think, yeah, they make it work with a whole lot less, and they might be doing things that are things I wish I'd done. And sometimes I see that. But once again, that's playing in the regrets column, and I don't really want to spend that time. I just have to recognize that those things are part of life and move on from there.